Hello, 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 everyone. This is your girl Shanidra, once and again with Let's Dig Deep, getting to the root of things. I have on today my father, the Angel Matthews, and our topic for today is controlled emptiness. And I'm going to briefly tell you what controlled emptiness is, and I'm going to allow my father the floor so he can. Tell you what he feels controlled emptiness is as well. So again, as y'all know, I have to open up my journal. So um, I will start with that. But controlled emptiness is the feeling of being empty, but being controlling to get healed. You're being too controlling to get healing. Um, and since since you are trying to control that emptiness, that empty feeling of whatever it is from childhood to feeling abandoned or feeling whatever, um, you start being controlling because you don't want to feel the void of being empty. You don't want to feel the feeling of being empty and being alone or abandoned. So you stay and you ignore the red flags. Um, and in Psalms 140, 147th division, verse 3, he says, God says he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As I stated in my last live, that we have our puzzles scattered everywhere, here, there, everywhere. And until we deal with, until we allow God to help us, to help put our puzzle together, we're still going to be scattered. We're just adding to our trash can. We're just adding a pile here, and our trash can is overflowing, but we're continuously adding and adding and adding. And then somebody pokes something, oh, and that's a trigger, and we're like, oh, shoot, you just made me mad, but it's not really necessarily them. They just pushed a trigger that we haven't dealt with, that that empty spot in us that made us lash out. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, right now I'm doing I'm a credit analyst, right? Working with people's credit and things like that. And it reminds me that a lot of times when I tell people about getting their credit straight, I remind them, of all the roads they went down the wrong way, and things that kind of got them to where they are, as far as the credit is concerned. But I am strict to say I'm not preaching, I'm testifying to them. When I'm on the phone, I go, I'm not telling you as, well, I did it. And so, you know, you're in this situation because you did it all wrong, whatever. I tell them I hit every branch all the way down. And I'm telling you from experience that is, there's nothing good coming to that road, right?
Right.
And I know the road that you're on and I know what you're trying to get out of. And I can tell you for sure, being on this side of this is the only way out. And that can be, hey, repairing your credit means, lower down payments, lower interest rates, lower car payments, lower home payments, lower this, that, and other. And you're just saying, until you accept this, nothing else is going to happen. It doesn't matter if they hear them and haw and say, well, I'll call you later, or I'm going to work on that, or I got other things I want to do. You can. You can go on another 30, 40 years on this, alternative path or whatever else, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it 10 times over. And that is so related to what we're talking about because sometimes when you come out the other end, as far as your walk with God, you're trying to explain to people, you can take as many paths as you want. I'm not telling you from a judgmental stance. I'm telling you, I've hung on to things that shouldn't have been held on to. I've went up and down every wrong road that there is. And to save you a bit of time, if you're interested, this is the way out. Well, I don't know, and maybe I'll call you back. Maybe, hey, this is a horse to water type thing. right? This is not something. If you don't want to, don't do it. And I tell them point blank in my job, and I've told people point blank in their life, I'm not here to make you do it at any given time. You know what I mean? And people have to get there in their time. Um, Personally, you and I, right? We had to get there.
Right.
We had to get there with each other.
Right.
And I couldn't get there for you until you got there with me and had your own reasons and reconciled. And we were able to lay it out. And then it's done. It's
Right.
done. There's no going back. You don't, it's, if you straighten out credit, if you straighten out the relationship with God, if you straighten your relationship with people, you never have to be on the wrong side. You'll still make mistakes. Life will go on. Like I tell them in the credit example, you're always going to work on your credit. Yeah, you might get from your 550 to enough to get a house, 620, but a lot of people have 850s, and you can get a better interest rate. You can have lower. You can always go, and that's the way it is with God. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and then you just start seeing how much better you can do. Then you just start seeing how good and how close can I get. Oh, you're always going to fall short. Yeah, I'm always going to fall short. You're always going to fall short. Why does that mean you shouldn't be trying to get to 100%?
Right. And like you said, um, we had to get like this is my biological father, and I try to control. That's how I'm understanding of the controlled emptiness. I was trying to control this emptiness inside of me that I was feeling um, from what I thought was reality until I confronted that empty feeling in myself. And once I confronted it, because the more you push it off, it's not helping. It's growing bigger and bigger, and you're gonna grow resentment. You're gonna grow hatred. You're gonna grow, abandonment for no reason, and you just refuse to know the truth because you don't want to hear no, or what's bad. You're already thinking the worst. So what's bad about finding out if is what I'm thinking true? Is this really how it is? And once we talked, it wasn't like, oh well, you know you denied anything. It was like, I'm sorry. Oh, I did not know that my actions or anything made you feel that way. And no, that was not, it was never anything like, that I really do love you. I would have never, and I have not brought that back up. I mean, we've moved on. It's like, I let it out. I'll let you hear all the hurt. We dealt with it. You said what you said, I said what I said, and we moved forward. We haven't missed a beat since. And I needed that missing piece, that other half of me in my life, because I do need someone that understands me. Sometimes, my son, I understand him to an extent, but I think, Mr. Hollingsworth will be able to understand him a little bit more than I can. I understand Maya a little bit more, but it just depends on the child. And had I had my you, it would have been a lot smoother. But I can't focus or mope or cry about what happened or what didn't happen or whatever, because it's time to move on. We've dealt with it, and now we have the best relationship ever. Um, and I'm able to talk to you all the time. I'm able to vent. We're able to overcome, generational. I'm learning more about myself. It's a growing process. But had I just continued to not talk to you or didn't want to deal with you or whatever, I would have lost out and would have been still carrying on that emptiness, whether
And
I
that's
wanted
how
to acknowledge or not.
and that's how it is. I talk to people, and I'm trying to create an example that could be universal. Everybody has credit, right? And
Right.
it's something I have to do every day. And there's people my age, of course, with it crushed and never been able to get anywhere. And that's really related to that point of no matter how long you've been going wrong. The sooner you start going right, the better. And I remind them that as long as you keep going this wrong way, you're making a concession. You're making a concession to stay with the buy here, pay here. You're making it so you start feeling like, well, I don't need to do that because I can get into it. Now I can't get into the regular reputable places because they require a score and whatever else. I can't get I can't go to a dealership and get a legit new car or whatever else because they want this. But I can get a car. I can just set up, and people get used to getting by spiritually, family, or whatever else. You get used to getting by, and like you're talking about now, they don't realize just the relief of getting that monkey off your back that it's never as bad as you think it is. People are like, oh, I know my credit shot or whatever else. And they have a few things on there that probably shouldn't even be on there. And if you just get that off in a couple of months, and the same thing, if you got those relationships that are strained or estranged out there, the moment you reach some level of reconciliation, it doesn't have to be perfection. It just has to be a stable level. I met my father at 23, and then maybe only seen him a few times after that. But it resolved it. This is who it is. This is his name. This is what it looks like. This is how he feels. Check, 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 check. Did you teach me to ride a bike? Did you sign my birth certificate? Did you walk me to school ever? Did you? Doesn't matter. I'm 23 years old at this point. We can't go do it anyway. So at this point, you begin to embrace people are people. They are people. I had to look back and realize my parents are two 22-year-old kids, basically, right? And unfortunately, what they had in common was both of their mothers were dead. So I end up an orphan because I don't have a grandmother when they screw it to step in and say, okay, well, bring the babies here, or y'all come and stay with me, with the baby or whatever else. Because unfortunately, that's the tragedy that probably drew them together, is that neither one of them had their mother. And so it's just like you have to look back and you're just like, oh, mother could do this, father could have did that or whatever else. And then you go, I don't even know if I would leave my kid with a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? And the fact that my parents were 17, um, I'm not even judging it that critically. I'm really talking about how are y'all now? How are y'all now in my life when I need you for this phase of it? We're beyond the bike and playing catch or whatever else. I'm raising my kids. What can you give me now? I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to grow my business. What can you give me
Now,
2021? Right? Not
right,
1991. That's gone. Can't do nothing about
right. That's right. That's exactly where I'm at. I can't because I had my kids at 22. I didn't even know that my grandmother had you at 22. But I had you at ah, I had my children at 22, and my first son. I couldn't imagine having a child any younger than that because I don't even know if I was ready at 22. So I cannot dare judge anyone that was even younger than that. Um, on how they parented because it was a lot of growing. I'm not. I was not the Shanidra that I am today. I had a lot of immature ways. I made a lot of mistakes. So, as you said, I'm not looking for my parents to explain. Uh, we've already been over that hump. So now I'm like, I need y'all to help. Now I'm a parent. Now I'm an adult. Now I need you to talk to me not as your child anymore but as your adult. And I think that's why we're able to talk about more due to we just talk like I respect you as my father, but we have communication and you give me advice on business or whatever. I mean, it's just talking. We're able to just talk, and that's what I need. That's feeling my emptiness. Because we always, no matter how old we get, we still want our parents. Um, or want to hear our parents point of view or whatever. But God, I used to just cling to that. Like I just thought that I just had to have that. And God was like, I'm growing you up. You are grown now. And He has filled that emptiness for me and helped me mend the pieces for that. And helped me with my emptiness and that feeling through Him. Um, so we won't be still dependent, and we are able to focus more in on um, our emptiness. Because when we're not able to focus on our emptiness, we continue on with the same cycles, and that is controlled emptiness. So, with that being said, controlled emptiness is somewhat, you running from being abandoned. Um, that abandoned feeling. You don't want to feel abandoned anymore, so you don't want to deal with it. But then you really dealing with it. You keep moving on, like you said. If you don't deal with your credit, people, you still, it's still affecting you. Even if
Yeah.
you want to push it off or
And
not, it's
that's what
still going to
adds
affect
kind of the controlled part of it. This is a void that needs to be filled. This is an issue that needs to be fixed, and you're managing it. It's almost like some kind of chronic pain or something where uh, I just go ahead and lay in the bed on those bad days that my back won't do this, that, and the other. When actually a legitimate trip to maybe a chiropractor or a particular prescription will give me some degree of a normal life. But as long as I'm controlling it myself, the issue is remaining, and I'm just kind of living with the issue. I am just living with this low score. I am just living with this rift between me and this loved one. I am just living with this chronic pain. When I'll give you an example, I'll tell you about some of the things, I go through feeling medically or whatever else, and I've swung so much of it off just getting up anyway, just making sure I do the activity, just making sure I walk around, just making sure, because the problem with most things is you're always going to be right. If you're cramping up and you're in a lot of pain and you stay in a ball, it's going to get harder and harder to get out of that ball. Why? You're under a warm blanket, you're in pain or whatever else. You start to move, it hurts, and you're just like, you know. But when you really need to get up and get your blood, you really need to loosen the cramp. You really need to, get everything circulating again. It's getting bogged down. It's getting logged in there. And what you need to do seems so far away from what you feel like doing, right? What you feel like doing is I'm just going to stay in this little ball under this heated blanket and that's helping with the pain a little. That's helping a little bit. But what would help a lot is if you were up around it and just sooner rather than later you forgot that you were even in pain again.
right. And that's why it's important to give it to God. As I said in Psalms 147:3, He heals the brokenhearted. And He's the only one, as I said in my last live, to put your puzzle piece together because you just leaving it everywhere. You leaving that part over here and you just adding to it. You're not subtracting, you're adding.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else hurt you. This hurt. That hurt. So you're going to keep adding, and your garbage is filling up, filling up, filling up. And you're like, dang, I need to take the trash. Yes, but you can't take it. You need the garbage man, which is, I'm not considering God as a garbage, but you need God to, empty that garbage. You
Yeah.
need God to mend those wounds. You have to give it to him. The longer I'm fine, and in denial that, oh, everything's fine, I'm good,
And
I
I'll
don't need
care
this
anyway,
person.
and it don't matter. And
Right. I don't need him. I don't need her. Whatever, whatever. I'm not mad. You are mad. Acknowledge that. You are mad. You want that relationship. Acknowledge that, because you ain't hurting nobody but yourself by not
you're
dealing
not
with
fooling nobody.
it. And as parents, we shouldn't put that even on our children. I see how easily it could be done now that I'm a parent, but that's when we need to have some self control because when you put your hurt, if see, that's what I'm saying with the control emptiness. When you do not deal with your hurt, then you pass that hurt on to your children
Yeah.
and you don't realize that you're passing that hurt because you're not dealing with it. Remember, you're not you fine, you okay, but you hurting somebody else. Hurt people. So since you're trying to control that emptiness that's inside of you, now you know your child, the person you love so much, is now hurt because you never dealt with that hurt, that emptiness. You have did everything to avoid. So now they watched you eat it away. Now they watch you over drink and drink it away. They watch how you cope with stuff. Instead of you giving it to God, they have caught on to how you did by your actions. And now they feeling their emptiness with drinking a bottle. They're feeling their emptiness if they saw mama with guys. Now the daughter thinking that I have to be with guys to feel their emptiness. With the fathers, it's always it's a continued generational cycle that goes into the generational cycles because you continuously not trying to control that emptiness by going into a relationship and you still empty.
And that's
Um,
why we break it down as to, testimony rather than preaching, because it
right,
says, I've tried what you're trying to do. The
right,
difference is I've accepted that it doesn't work, right?
right,
I've accepted that there's only one way out. We've been in relationships, we did all kind of other answers, and it is unfair to any other human being to ask them to completely fill that void,
right,
because that will always mean that the problem literally is you. And while that might bring satisfaction to exes or somebody else, you is universal. For
right,
me, it's me. For you, it's you. For anybody we've ever been with, it's them.
right,
Because you can, all of your baggage is in the mirror, right? And the only difference you can have is that you say, I'm after mine. I'm working at mine. I'm going after mine, because otherwise it just repeats. It's just the same thing. And like you said, when you have kids, you begin to question everything. I remember, probably told you before, when you were a baby, went in the toy stores and stuff like that. And I seen the toys, the messages that they give girls. I'm picturing you the way you are now, business, independent, whatever else. And all the toys were bake in the oven and change a diaper, and I'm, hey, I'm not going to send, my kid that message. Not that there's obviously anything wrong with it. You're nurturing and it's your job to nurture whatever else, but that's not your whole identity.
right,
You know what I mean? So, and I never wanted you to ever feel that there was any limitations to what you could do in life. And just like every parent wants to communicate that, you're never going to be able to successfully be able to communicate. Don't have no limitations. You can go as far as you want without saying, and this is how you deal with your demons. The only answer is God, and not in no Bible thumping way, but in a relief, which says, I can't carry all this, and I don't have to.
no.
Full
He
stop.
told you not to.
Right.
He
That's
said,
that.
"Give it to me."
I
So
had
we
tested
carrying
situations, and when they get that big, hey, I'm gonna let it work out. And that
right.
doesn't mean, sitting around on your hands, right? We don't sit around on our hands just like, hey, God, it's on you or whatever else. It's like, well, keep plowing, doing what I'm supposed to do, and I know you're going to open the door for somewhere.
Yep. I mean, because he told us, give all your burdens unto me. Only I couldn't, nobody could tell me what was wrong with me, period. Nobody on this earth is going to be able to tell me because then I'm always going to look at somebody like, who are you to tell? So only God is able to, because he sees all things, so only he is able to tell us, hey, look at, and I'm
You're the
like,
mirror.
no, this
Well,
person,
he's the mirror,
yeah,
right?
he's like, look at this. You need to fix this. And I realized that before I end up um, passing my emptiness on to my children, I need to deal with my emptiness. Um, and I need to deal with it now because that's how it's unknowingly. You don't really know that you're passing on your emptiness because you're too busy controlling. You got everything under control. You don't feel anything. I'm fine. I'm good. I don't care about my father. I don't care about this person. I don't care about, you're fine. So, but you don't realize that you still
That's a
lashing
dead
out at
giveaway.
her. Right. Right. You don't realize that you lashing out that hurt on your children or everybody that all your loved ones that's around you because you're fine. You're controlling the emptiness. You're trying to control the void and you're not fine. And as we are saying, we're not saying this as I'm pointing at you, because every time we point you, it's going back, 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 back. I'm telling you what I know and what I'm learning that I have to deal with this now because I don't want to pass this down, this empty. Let me deal with my emptiness so
Well,
that I do not
I
pass
don't
this
think
down.
people even would realize that, we talk sometimes hours every day, right? And I think people would think that we spend it making everybody else punch your bags. But we actually spend it all on the iron, sharpening iron. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm dealing with. And we constantly relating it to each other's situation so that it feels like a continuous journey. I'm facing this and I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. I'm dealing with this and hopefully this comes through. I don't know if this is going to happen. And that's all it is, 99% of it, right?
Yep.
Of not trying to be like, well, I'm just this far up, and if everybody would do what I'm doing, they would have. It's like
No.
we're all behind the scenes of how mindlessly difficult every little thing we ever get is, right?
Right.
Every little place we move into, every little piece of car we get, every dollar we get, we it's this big journey, it's this big ordeal to squeeze it out. And most of the time we're just like, I don't know how it's going to come out. I just trust that it's going to, you know, like you're going through last year. There's some points of 1990, 2019, it couldn't have got no darker for a lot of things, right?
Right.
And but it was like I know, and you remember in January last year, it was getting really bad at the end of 19, and I said just go ahead and plan your business of how you want it to be. Just keep on going. Even though it just looks like everything is just going to push back and erase everything that's built up. It's just like this is just where you take that window, right, where you got this lull and just build what you want to have. You just take the minute as opportunity. People a lot of times take it as defeat. Like I've worked so hard on this, I'm doing everything right, and nothing's going my way. And I've been through for the past couple months, vehicles, all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just hang in there. It's like it's going to pull out. You know, it's going to
No.
pull out. Maybe not what I thought was going to happen, but that's irrelevant, right? You didn't even know what was going to pull you out was COVID. That didn't make sense, right? There's going to be a pandemic, and that's going to provide me an opportunity to work this platform. You didn't have this platform in mind, right? You didn't plan on being live videos or whatever. You did not know January to January or February to February this was going to go. So I just trust in the process. And if I'm making a video in the middle of February 2021 with my father, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right. I didn't even know. I don't do live. And as you said, as you saw, and as I was saying last year, I was like, it's in God's hands. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm about to do. School is closed. I'm just, keeping the faith because I know that God has something in store for this. There's always something that God is doing behind the scenes. I'm not focused on what they're doing with COVID. I'm not focused on this. I'm not focused on that because I know for a fact that God is going to do something, and He did. The whole time through COVID, I moved to a bigger place in COVID, and God has provided the whole time. My kids were out of school. They've been out of school since last March. It's about to be March again, so that's a whole year that they have been at home. But it's due to a pandemic. It's not that I just want to keep my kids at home and whatever. It's because the pandemic is out. My son has asthma. He can't. You know. take them. I can't take those chances with him. So, COVID has, helped me just rely solely on God even more than what I already was, because it was like, wow, I mean, he just showed up and showed out. I mean, paid off stuff, did everything. And that's why I'm saying that the controlled emptiness is he can take care of that. Like anything that you are desiring or need, only the creator whom created you can help you with that. He knows. You don't have to worry about him judging you. You don't have to worry about him telling your business. None of that. Because, we go to our friends or whatever and we're like, oh God, see, I knew I shouldn't have told such and such. She done ran her mouth. Now such and such no. And la di da da. So now you add in that emptiness because now you feeling bad because you should have took it to God. And I'm saying this because I did that. And, when I started giving it to God, God started blocking people from answering. I'm like, dang, I can't call this person that. Wow, nobody answering. Okay, God, I'm sorry. Let me talk to you because, I don't need to talk to nobody about this issue or whatever. So, um,
Well, I know I dealt with it a lot. Was that it started early on in my life that this was the way it's going to go. Because a lot of times for all of us, it's what and it's God trying to get your attention. And as you ended up with a long name, right? So uh, that set the pattern, and it put that on to your siblings who had to end up with 31 letters since you had 30 years. But you can see the progression as I got bolder and bolder in the walk. You to Empress, Chakray, and then, it's on the Messiah, and then God's begotten Christ, and then it's, the angel, and the whole sovereign, and it was just really like, I'm going to pin this on them, right? They're going to have to shake it off to not know that they have an obligation to do their walk with God. You know what I mean? And even for me changing my name, I told you about that. It seems simple enough. It seems maybe even egotistical to some people, but if you look at it the right way, it's submission. People whine. Why would you put that on the kids? Why would you do this? Who do you think you are to change your name? And it's just like, it is subordination. It is subordination if you do not accept it. Everybody in the Bible was asked to do something that didn't make sense to them. Abraham standing over Isaac, right? Noah building a boat on land. You know, Jesus going up on the cross. And you have that crossroads in your life, whatever it is he's asking you to do. To say, no, nah, man, if I do that, everybody always saying, I always think I'm God and this, that, and the other. And if I change my name to the angel, they're just going to be like, I knew it. I told you, I mean, there you go again, this, that, and the other. And it's, are you worried about them or are you worried about me? And that's the pressure you get put under, right? You get put under pressure all the time. Are you going to worry about what they get ready to say or what they get ready to do about what you're doing? Or are you worried about your your reputation with me? Or are you worried about Shanice's reputation with me, God? Or are you worried about it with your father, your mother, your dog, your kid, your neighbor, or whatever else? Who are you focused on?
yeah, and I think that with that being said, that we get into relationships that we try to control and stay in because we don't want to have that one-on-one time with God. We don't want to deal with that emptiness. We are staying in stuff longer than we need to void dealing with that emptiness, to void having to sit down and sit back with God, and see the thing, that emptiness, let him feel that emptiness. We having to sit down and sit in it. Because when I say I had to sit in it and I cried and boo-hooed and everything. I had to feel it because so much I was trying not to feel it. It was just, a numbness. Like I'm numb and I don't feel anything. But once God made me feel it, it was like, oh God, this really hurts. Oh God, I cannot control it. But once you give it to Him, He has to help you release it out. But you have to be able to have that time with Him so that He can get you back to where you need to be so that you can focus on the things that He have you to do. Because like you said, we do start focusing on what others are want and pleasing other people, and we lose focus on our main thing, which is pleasing God. Is this really pleasing God, or am I pleasing my parents, or like you said, my parents, or my friend, my cousin, my whoever I'm trying to please? Am I pleasing them, or am I pleasing God? Because my
Yeah.
focus don't need to be on them. It needs to be more on God and what God put me on the earth for and what God has me to do. But until I can be alone with God and spend that time with God, I'm never going to feel that void of emptiness because I'm too busy trying to control the emptiness because I'm not wanting God to reveal it to me because I got everything under control.
Well, let's give a more in-depth personal example here, and you know better than using ourselves, right? Than the fact of you say, well, hey, I always wanted this relationship, with my dad. Da 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 da. Missed out on this. This is this is one of the important relationships of my life. Okay, but ironic, ironically, placing that second to your relationship on God brought us closer than we could possibly be if we were just trying to get along with each other, right? If we were just trying to talk about whatever, just business, and we care about each other, and we're trying to be a family together, and this, that, and the other. This journey and this walk together every day, talking about God, gets you the success you're looking for in the relationships that you're talking about. If you say, "Hey, you're my dad, I love you," you're second.
Yep, that's what
You end up getting a relationship with
that
your
I'm.
dad, right?
Yeah,
Like I can't. You saying like I can't get the relationship with my dad I want, but through God, in a weird way, right? So if I
right.
just pursue it on my own and I just follow him around and I just try to talk to him and I just try to just hang in there and just try to not disagree with him or whatever else, so we can have. I can't do it like that. It'll
Mm-mm.
never work like because you're never going to keep up, like you said about relationships. Sometimes you stay longer than you're supposed to, and the focus goes off of God because you think you can show somebody else the way you can. Like I said, for the credit thing, of course, 8 out of 10 people hang up. They get down to that moment. This is what you need to do. You completely understand this is what you need to do. You completely understand intellectually nothing else is going to happen until you take care of this. And you go, I'm going to get back with you. And that's what happens when you're in a relationship with somebody, right? You're just like, I just want this for you. And you keep wanting it for other people so much that you're spinning your tires because you can't give it to them. You're in no position to give it to them. That's between them and God. You can't give it to them. You're standing around 5, 10, 20 years trying to say, hey, if you only embrace it, you'll see. They have to see it on their own time, and sometimes they won't see it as long as you're in the picture.
I had to learn that the hard way. It was like, you are great. I wish you could just, and it's like the more I push, the further off they go. It's like, dang, you don't see what I'm saying. And it's like, but that's the same thing with kids. Like people will tell you, um, you know, the more you try to tell your kids, but if you just let them alone, then they end up doing the right thing. But the more you try to tell them, no, don't jump over there, don't jump over there, they'll try to jump. But the moment you be like, do you, boo? They be like, oh, I'm not supposed to jump over there, right, Mama? You said I'm not supposed. I'm like, mm-hmm. So it's like the more you try to tell somebody, the more you stay in the picture trying to control and make sure that they don't fall. Oh, I don't want you to fall. Oh my God, baby, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall.
And all
And
they're
it's
doing
like,
is get off me, get off me. You're just trying to make me do your way, your way, your way. You're like, not my way. I'm just going to say, I, I'm not in charge of your soul. Do what you want. I'm just trying. You start wanting it for them more than they want it, and all they're going to see is you pitching it to them. They have to draw that realization themselves. I need this, as opposed to he told me to get this, or she, you know, uh, Nene ain't gonna get off my back until I do it. They can't do it that way anyway, right? They can't do it because you
Right.
pestered them to death, because you drug them to church, because you talk to them every night about God before they go to bed. They're just gonna keep seeing it coming from you. You want it, you want it, you want it. Even though, like you said, for your kids, I want it because I want you to have it. It's just they're gonna assign it to you. You trying to make them. You want them to be like this. You think you're better, and you're trying to make them better, which is make them be like you. So that means you think you better.
And it's like, as long as you keep that mindset, you're gonna be stuck. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because that's why I know that's why God renews your mind first. Because when you become a new creature, it's by the renewing of your mind. And I understand that so clearly because if we was to stay in that mindset that we were in, it's like no wonder it didn't work. Oh well, if I see somebody or if we see our parents, it's like I ain't trying to hear my parents. But if our friends tell us the same thing that our parents said, oh, and we come back to our parents like, oh, guess what my parents said? And the parent be like, oh, really?
Huh.
They said that. Oh, okay,
Now
but
you know everything.
right. So, so I get what you're saying on that, and as long as we try to control and not deal, we're going to continuously not see the bigger picture. As long as we just meet the surface thing and just touch the surface base of the issue. Oh, well, you're just trying to say that I'm evil or mean, and it's like, no, I'm saying, it's deeper than that. That's why I'm trying to break it down,
Right.
so you can get the full picture. If I just tell you this, then you're gonna be like, oh, of course you're gonna think that. That's why I'm trying to go all around the world to tell you this is how I got to this, so you won't think that it's coming at you. I went through this, so like, and I'm not trying to tell people, like you said, we're not here to tell people, oh, this is how you need to go, and blah, 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 blah. That's on you.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what I know works, and I know that God has gave me peace. He is still. I mean, this is not an overnight thing, and this is years. I didn't. We didn't build our relationship. Was it after I had Estefan,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
yeah,
After you got
after?
the Boomsday for one or whatever.
So he was
Yeah.
like one, right?
Mhm. Yeah, because Boomsday was probably the week of his birthday or his birthday or something like that. That first Boomsday in 11.
Yeah, so that was on the 23rd. When I was 23, just like you said when you met your father, you
Mm-hmm.
was 23. I mean, if we can't see how these cycles can continue, it continues. I didn't even we didn't even go over that hump until I was like 23. And from there on, it's been nonstop communication because we put God in it first. It wasn't forced because when we try to force it, we don't talk about serious issues because we're trying to avoid, touching stuff. But if we just let it out right then and there, boom, 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 this is where I stand, boundaries, boundaries, all of that. And then move on and let God, if I don't talk to you, it's not a big deal. If you don't talk to me, it's not a big deal. We're not, oh, they didn't talk to me. They must be blah, blah. No, it's none of that. We're not feeling anything because God is feeling all of the void, all of the emptiness.
Right. And you know that that's what the person's been doing in the meantime is their walk and their journey. And when they get back, all you're doing is comparing notes. So there's no downside to it. And I think, the problem I've had is that whenever you introduce scripture in the moment you say God at all, then people think you've got yourself on a pedestal, you know. But I stopped, you know, going to church, long, long time, you know, and it's because for me, I challenged myself to see the word in real time, not just parrot back what I just heard or whatever else, but to to actually live it. And that to me has been an elevated level because that's the challenge Jesus had to do. He wasn't there just parroting back to the rabbis or whatever else. He didn't go. His walk was full time outside of that, uh, pressing that and being that example to the people who weren't congregated. And a couple of times he showed up, it was a halfway negative experience, was to turn the tables and stuff like that. And so, there's like, when you know about God, you don't even go to church, and it's hard to remind people Jesus didn't go to church.
And that's the thing people keep mixing in together. Oh, church hurt me, so I can't trust God. What was what do church have to do with God? Like, no, because they did me wrong and they wasn't even living up to how God told them to be. Okay, so
Right.
again, what do they have to do with God? Church and God are two different things. The word of God is the word of God. You have to build that relationship with God to understand the word of God. The
Right.
word of God comes from God.
And so everything else has to be second. You have to go to church for reinforcement. You have to go for fellowship. You have to go to have other like-minded people who are on their own journey around you. That's the reason you're going. You can't just, so many people go and just like, okay, I'm gonna feel bad for 4 hours. Okay, and then go back to what you was doing. You was out on Friday and Saturday night, and then you get in here Sunday morning. Yeah, no. Yeah, I do got to change. I do need to do better. Okay, well, that's done. And I'm done with that. I took my little, like your kids get to be, right. Let me get
Mm,
my two little lashes for stealing out the cabinets and lying about this and breaking that or whatever else. And it's like, that's not the point. Just for you to just kind of take a little lecture, a little reprimand, a little swat on the butt. It's for you to learn what you are here for. If you're not getting the full benefit of the word, you're not using the people that are around you at the facility as support on your journey. Your journey is separate from their journey. And that's what so many people are like zeroed in on the church, zeroed in on how the pastors live, and zeroed in on all of this type of stuff. You ain't gonna do how the pastors live. They have 5 Cadillacs and 4 houses. You just be like, well, you got 4 Cadillacs and 5 houses. But anyway, God wants me to go wash the dishes. That's what you have to worry about, right? You do have
right,
time for the gossip and who's doing what, who should be doing this. If you spending any of your time and energy on that, that's time and energy you just spent away from God. That's not for you to be doing.
right. So it's shameful that I feel like, like dang, so many people are, but God even got on the churches. So I'm just saying, in Revelations, He got on the churches. So quit mixing God in with the churches, because God had to get on the churches. Let God deal with that church,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't mix the church with God. He can even mend that church hurt. If COVID haven't taught us nothing, He separated us from everything, and so we could build that relationship, so he can mend that church hurt, so he can mend that relationship hurt, so he can mend whatever hurt that you are dealing with. You give it to him. He had you stuck in a house, but the more you just decided to control that feeling, oh, I'm not going to deal with God. Oh, let me get busy doing something else. Oh gosh, why do they have us in this house? Oh my gosh, I don't want to be stuck in a house. Oh my God, you're controlling that emptiness because you don't want to deal with that emptiness. You're
Right.
trying to do everything but sit still and hear God, because you don't want to hear what's wrong with you. You don't want to deal with what's wrong with you. You don't want to talk about what's wrong with you. So you just want to keep that in you, but you hurting other people.
It's a perfect example that you can see how many people are actually out there hurt by being told, hey, there's something deadly in the air. And if you go out there and breathe it in, you could die. And they're going, I still need to go out because being in means dealing with your family, your relationships, your children, you're this, that, and the other, and you're not equipped. And the reason you're not equipped is you don't have that back support that God is going to let all of that work out. It's not that we're not dealing with a full plate, right? You got two
Right.
elementary school kids and running a business or whatever else. It's not any easier for you outside of saying, I'm not doing this by myself. You know what I mean? I got a lever
Right.
to pull. That's that's what's going to keep me going. And this is an opportunity for people to learn to pull that lever. I can't pull it all off myself. And you start going, I ain't even gonna try to do my part, and God's gonna put me where I'm supposed to be. Period. So wherever I'm supposed to work, whatever car I'm supposed to drive, I've told you about it. I just be like, even better, right? You got the two new vehicles. Remember, I spent the whole month not knowing if either or both of them would work out. Those are not the ones I left the house for or whatever else. Those are the ones that are supposed to have right now. Period.
Right.
I'm good. And people may see it as bragging as, oh, look what I got. But instead, it's like, no, look how much I embrace and accept what I'm where I'm at. This is what I've been told to do. This ain't the fanciest. This ain't the best. This ain't what I would dreamed of. This ain't what I asked for or whatever else. But I am content that I'm still on the right course.
Right. Even when you asked me recently, what are my next moves? What am I going to do? It's coming up. What? I don't know. It's in God's hands. I don't know right now. And when I said that I surrendered all control to God, I seriously surrendered everything. So I don't even know until He releases or tells me anything where I'm going, what I'm doing, until, I'm doing my normal daily stuff.
Right.
But, outside of that, I'm not moving unless you like, go, move. Now I'm
Yeah, it doesn't. It
preparing
doesn't. It doesn't
just in
mean.
case.
It doesn't mean be one of those people just sitting around reading the Bible and praying that somebody knocks at the door. It
Right.
means it means you keep going on with what
Normal.
you understand that you're supposed to be doing, and as those opportunities present themselves, be prepared to take advantage.
Right.
That's
It's
how
not
that
that
goes.
right. It's not that I'm just sitting here, oh well, whatever. No, I'm still moving and grooving in silence, like he told me. But as far as whatever, where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be or whatever in the next month, I can't even worry about that. I'm doing the things to prepare for whatever, but I don't know what the whatever is. I just trust God and know that, I mean, He blessed me with more than I asked for here. I know He's going to bless me with more wherever else He takes me, but I don't even want it if He's not in it because He gives me peace every time I know it's Him.
Yeah,
So,
and I know you brought up the you know drinking and smoking and things like that, and it's like I never partook or tried or attempted because I did not want anything interfering with that line of communication. I did not want to ever have something that I needed like that because it's a form of control. And people are like, well, you didn't want to have fun. And it's like if I had a group of 6-year-olds at a birthday party, you never heard as much noise and fun of them chasing each other around, jumping on the trampoline, throwing water balloons at each other, whatever it is out there, it just sounds like a madhouse if you have a group of little kids out there running around playing, having fun. And if by the time you're 36, you can't enjoy the company of others with alcohol, you need, without alcohol, without drugs, without whatever it is, oh, this party is lame, let's get it turned up, let's get it going, let's whatever. You have to ask yourself, what did you lose between 6 and 36? The people and the company that you have don't bring you enough enjoyment in and of itself. I don't know how I enjoyed somebody if I go to their house and we immediately start smoking and we're just both over in the corner somewhere, and, in a daze, right? Well, hey, I had a lot of fun. Great, this was fun. I could have did that at home.
right,
I can just, if I'm coming all the way to your home or you coming all the way to my home, let's try to get down a checklist of things we can do, places we can go, things we can enjoy, watch. Just something where we're both in the moment, not suspending ourselves from it. And again, that's not a finger wag. It is, again, freedom is the key. It's if you find that you have to have something to feel halfway full, somebody, sex, food, drugs, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, let me see if I can push that away, because that's probably what your thing is that's blocking your communication, because it's blocking you from dealing with what it is you have to deal
That's the whole point. Like, you can try to control it, like you said, with drinking. You can overdrink, but that's how you teaching your children how to deal with it. Instead of you teaching them, give it to God or let God deal with you with that, or them seeing you deal with it yourself, your emptiness. You are teaching them, hey, when I feel empty inside, I need a drink. When I feel empty inside, I need to smoke so I don't think about it. When I feel empty inside, I need to get laid. When I'm empty inside, I mean, because they following your actions.
with.
So then when you see them getting laid or smoking up and trying not to think, and you see their life spiraling out of control because you never dealt with your emptiness, you controlled it with controlled substances and drinking and all of that stuff. You try to control it, and now your children is, out of control, and now you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? And you never dealt with your emptiness. You controlled it with other things. You controlled it with being in that relationship you shouldn't have been in. You controlled it with staying at a job too long, being abused by a job. You controlled it with, they saw all of these different ways that you control that emptiness, and none of it really helped you. You still felt emptiness and you added to the emptiness, but then you lashing out because you refuse to deal with the emptiness. So now the kids are feeling, they're not only seeing how you're controlling your emptiness, but they're also feeling some of the hurt because you're lashing out that hurt that you can't think about because you done smoked that thought out of your mind. You're not dealing with it. And so now they're feeling it and they're seeing how you're dealing with it. So but you're so tuned out because you haven't dealt with it.
Right.
So in order for God to come in, you have to give him, hey, I mean, I don't know what to do. Everything's out of control, Lord. I give this to you. There's nothing I can do, like literally nothing I can do. Give it to him. He said, give it to me. So give it to him. There's nothing else you can do. Give it
It's
to him.
always
Why are you
gonna
still trying to control it?
it's always gonna be that. Not that we haven't, again, like I said, uh, testimony not preaching effectively is that it's not for a lack of trying these answers, right? If I didn't try those, if I didn't try this one, and if I didn't try that one, I'm on here with my child who's almost my age, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's answers I try, and having a void, growing up an orphan, of course, I latched on and worked very hard to start creating families sooner rather than later. To couldn't have my mother and father, then I have my kids, and it's not going to happen if you try to make it happen. It just it just won't, and nothing's going to happen unless you have somebody else who's on the same page too, on their own separate, independent journey, so that they're not talking about what you're telling them, what you're lecturing them about, what you're controlling them, what you want to do. As long as they're worrying about that, both of y'all are wasting your time.
Yeah, because
If you feel
it's
I'm controlling you, uh, break up, get away from me, run,
right.
don't walk, because you don't own Fort Knox. You don't have anything I need to control. I'm trying to tell you that I learned that I got to deal with me, and you need to deal with you. And right now, when you're explaining to me how you're being controlled and how you're mistreated and how it's going wrong for you, you're telling me you ain't gave two flips at looking at the mirror.
Yep. And most of the time, because you know how we used to say, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? Well, that's true in a sense because, people tell you what they are. Oh, you selfish, evil, mean person. And you looking like,
You saying that?
I'm the selfish, mean person, and you're the one that's no, you evil. I can't see you. I want to punch you in the face right now. And it's like I am the okay. I'm backing up because I'm like, dang, what you about to do? But that goes to I know you are, but what am I? Because you're telling me what you are. You're not telling me what I am. That's why I'm asking, what am I? Because you're saying what you are. Because
Mm,
you haven't looked in the mirror and you can't see. That's why I say only God can show you the mirror because you're not going to see it with me telling you. You're not going to see it with anybody else. People say, well, you ain't never smoked, so I feel like you judge. I'm not. No, I have not smoked, and that was my choice. We have our own choices. I never saw the joys in smoking. I never was a drunk person or anything like that. It takes me almost a whole year to finish a whole bottle of wine. You
mm.
know, so I'm just that's just not me. That's not to judge you. That's just saying that's not me. That's not what I want to do.
It
I'm not
says don't
judging.
use it as anything. Obviously, people don't have to live with sex. They don't have to live without a relationship. It's not that people can't live a healthy life without drinking, but you need to run it through the filter and say, am I using it? How do I use it? Why do I need it? People always are like, what's the big deal? I don't know. Take it out your life and see if it's a big deal.
Right,
And if you dread taking it out your life, then you need to tell me what the big deal is.
right,
Not I explain to you what's the big deal of not doing it. You explain the big deal to me why you have to, why you can't go a weekend or a week or a month or whatever else, even if your life depends on it, like it does
right,
with the pandemic. Your life depends on it, and you can't even sit still,
right.
literally.
And what when you grab that bottle, what is happening? Start getting because when I experienced anxiety, I had to start figuring out what triggered that. What gave me that gut feeling? I had to start what's happening right now. Okay, so need to calm down. What is happening right now that's making you tighten up and feel out of oh my gosh, what is it that's making you so angry? What trigger is that? I have to take a breath, like, calm down. What happened? What just happened? Oh, I just got off the phone with this person, or oh, I just got off the job, or oh, once we start figuring out, okay, what it is when I grab this bottle, what causes me to grab this bottle? Oh, I done had a long day at work. I got to drink. Well, maybe we need to switch jobs. Oh, my husband done tip me up, or my girlfriend done tip me up. I gotta have a drink, or I gotta smoke. Well, maybe you need to look at that. You know
It
what?
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be tied to anything like that, right? It shouldn't be tied
Right.
to an emptiness or pattern or issue to have to reach out. I know, I developed it after that little cancer scare I had a few years ago, and there were times I was having it twice a week, once a month, but I kept muscling it down just out of reason. I went that long in my life without it, and I should be able to resume my life reasonably with, um, you know, going forward. And so I knew there were a lot of prescriptions out there that people take daily, and that's not to knock it if you need it, but I challenged myself to know if I need it. And sometimes, especially some of these anti-anxiety ones, they're not narcotics, and so they give you like eight, or something like that, just to try to make sure people aren't
Right.
slipping them like candy. And I make it my business that eight would last a year. I mean, because of each one of them, I would see if I couldn't stop it myself. Only if I couldn't get myself back together. If I was just going to run out of the house, go to the hospital or whatever else, then I would try to peel first to see if it could just release the chemicals or whatever I needed to get me back under some restraint. My goal was still the same, which was for me to regain control rather than, oh, I just need this. Oh, this didn't even work, or this pissed me off today, or I'm already shaking. Otherwise, I'd have two or three bottles by now that I would need to take every day
Right.
because you start to allow yourself, right? You start to be just like, guys, it's happening again. I'm getting worked up or whatever else. And all I've done is now maybe once or twice a year I have to deal with it. And ideally, not at all because they're getting more and more minimized as I just keep trying more and more things to regain control. Now, if someone has chemical issues or they're much more deeper or they've had it their whole life, that's fine. But you ask yourself, how bad is it? And how far can I get away from it? Your goal should be, I'm gonna get through this day without this medicine. I'm gonna get through 2 days without this medicine. I'm gonna get through a week without this medicine and just see. Maybe you need it 3 times next week. Maybe you only needed it one time the following week. Maybe you needed it every day. But challenge yourself to find out when did you actually need it. Not like you said with the drinks or whatever else. Oh my God, I can't wait till I get off because they stressing me out today. You start looking for reasons.
I just learned, okay, when I put more on myself, when I'm trying to do too much, that's when I start feeling like, what is going on? Because I've taken on this, I've taken on that, I've taken on, I've never paused. It's like, oh yeah, I'll help you with that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna add this. I already have a heavy load, but then I want to add more to my load. And just like a washing machine, if we keep piling stuff into that washing machine, you gonna hear boom, 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 boom. You like, dang, what's going on? It's like boom, 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 and it's like, dang, did you put too much in the load? And but that's how it was with me. I had to realize that I was putting too much in my load. I already had a heavy load. It can't go over heavy, so I have to, take some loads off of me. I already got 2 loads that is guaranteed on me, which are my kids. But anything outside of that, it's gonna have to wait either when I don't have them or when I have less of a load for that day. I used to just want to help here, there, everywhere. Oh yeah, I can go. I'm gonna stop what I'm doing now, and then it's like, then I'm getting behind. Then I already have distractions daily, but then I'm adding more stuff too, and then when I don't have a lot of stuff done, I'm piling more stuff on me. Now I'm frustrated.
But
Now I'm
that's why
irritated.
the answer could have been, I need wine more often. I need a glass of wine at the end of the day from dealing with all of this going on. The answer could have been, I need some real prescriptions for this anxiety. Y'all want to give me something way stronger, that I can take a couple times a day because I go through it all. It could have been that's the answer rather than like you said, that's controlling the emptiness again, right? If I go to the doctor and just be like, these anxiety attacks are getting harder and worse. Y'all need to, come with it. You know what I mean? I need to be doped out of my mind a few times. I need to be, I need to be, I need to wash it down with wine and put myself and knock myself out at night to sleep. I need to this, that, and other. You go, I'm not going to do that. I need to find out what the problems are that are actually driving. You know, if I turn out to need a prescription, okay. If I turn out to need something for the edge, okay. But I have to exhaust trying to get it taken care of properly first.
Right, and that's how God made me. Period. I mean, this has been from childhood on, and people was like, "Oh, you just don't believe in medicine. Oh, that's why you don't take medicine. You don't." I don't, but because I know who my healer is, and I know He gives knowledge for medicine as well. But even when they had to pull my teeth when I had braces, because I had braces before, even when they had to pull my teeth and they was wanting to do the laughing gas, I was freaking out. I'm like, no, because I can't think. Oh my God, I have to think. I have to think. That's why I can't smoke. I have to think. Like, if I don't think, that's going to freak me out. I have to think. And I like to figure out,
I wonder where you get
what's
that
happening.
anyway, though. It must be from your
I think for
like.
my father, who he is. Have you ever met him? But I have to think. If stuff does not make sense, I have to think. But that is another thing. I felt at a place sometimes, before we had our connection, because it's like, dang, everybody's saying I'm overthinking. Everybody's thinking I'm crazy because I overthink stuff. I'm always thinking. I don't want to smoke, so they're thinking that I'm lame or whatever, but I'm thinking it's lame and whack to smoke. We can both have our opinions about it. Um, one is not greater than the other, but one is a fact. But you know, nevertheless, nevertheless, it's I just have to think, and it's not so much of me not just being so against medicine. It's just this is exactly how God made me to be. Like I couldn't even when they put the laughing gas on me, it was like, oh my gosh, take this out. I was trying to take it off because it was like, oh shoot, I can't think. Hey, I can't think. They was like, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel woozy and everything. I'm like, oh no, take this off. Oh my, I was freaking out because it was like, no, you trying to stop me from thinking? No, this is not going to happen. Like, y'all better take this off right now. Leave my teeth in, whatever you got to do. I'm getting it. So it's not that I just am so against medicine. It's just that, medicine is going to make me deflect off of what's happening in this moment. Then I need to figure out in this moment before I even take the medicine or whatever what's happening and what's causing this. Why is my side hurting? Before I take this medicine and it numbs it for that second and I have to take it again, why is my side hurting all of a sudden?
Right. And it's a very tough question because so many answers run deep. If you say, well, I need a couple of beers at the end of the day, or I need a bottle of wine, well, you didn't when you were 3 years old. So what happened between 3 and 33 that it would come to this? If,
Bills.
if your life is dragging you, if your life is dragging you through that, then you have to go back through and say, actually, I'm not ready to drink my freaking self to death. Some of this, just some guy. Keep the bad words out of it. Some of this stuff needs to get out of my life, right?
Right.
Um, because if this job is driving me to 3 beers of bed, or I got to come home and numb myself, um, this
Y'all gotta
it's
go.
not a debt. It's not a net benefit anymore. This is
Mm-hmm.
a net negative. Bye. And now you're just convincing yourself, oh, you enjoy drink. No, like it. Nobody's ever enjoyed the taste of half the alcohol, anything else, or smoke or whatever else. So just like I said, for the medicine, you should completely screen it all out and then let back how much you actually want in. And that may take you from being high every day after work to smoking in your garage on the weekend. It may do anything, but it puts you back in charge of it to say, I literally am doing this because I feel like doing this because I want to. My life is complete if I wasn't able to get this way. My life is fine if I never drank again. My life would be fine. And most people aren't at that point if they are using it in the wrong way. It could be food, it could be, like I said, relationships, sexual relationships, whatever it is. If you have to hang on for dear life, that's telling you you're battling an emptiness.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not saying, oh, you should never do this and never do that. I drink wine sporadically, but it's nothing that I drink every day. And I sip it. Literally have a sip of wine. That's why it takes either a year or so for me to finish a whole bottle. But that's just me because that's not something that I'm using for something else to control the emptiness inside of me. I'm just drinking because I want to taste the wine. Um, I've never smoked, so I can't talk on that subject because I don't know. But, like you said, I'm not telling you how to control your life. But like you said, don't abuse it. Don't use it for whatever else you're trying to use it for. That's with food, like you said. If you abuse it, if you don't know what food is here for, if you don't know what because people use food, they use
Sex,
relationships. Yeah,
relationships with all kind of people, romantic relationships, family relationships, or whatever else that they just kind of
you don't know the purpose of them, then you're gonna abuse it.
mhm, because you feel like you need it. If that person wasn't there for you today to loan you money, or you know listen to you complain, or whatever it is, you're not going to be able to get through the day. You're going to call them 20 times. And if they don't answer, you're stressed out. Where were you? Whatever else. Nothing, nothing should be over your life but
Right.
God, right? You didn't
Right.
have God today and you couldn't get any communication from that now. Now you got something to freak out with. You
Right.
can't get in charge, you can't get in touch with this person, you can't get in touch with that person. That'd be fine outside of maybe worrying, like, I hope nothing's wrong, right?
Right.
But not like, oh, I need to dump on them so bad every day that if I don't talk to them today, so
Right.
go ahead, Mom.
Because even when you was like, "Oh, I'm in the hospital," then I was like, "Okay, I'll call you back." And then I'm like, "Okay, it's been almost a whole nother day. Now, what's going on? Hey, you all right? This text to
Yeah,
say yeah or no, stuff like that, yes. But, like you said, outside of, being concerned for them physically, we talk just about every day, but if we've missed some days, it's not like, I ain't talking to him because he ain't called me today or whatever. It's like, we'll pick up, I guess, next week or whenever. We even say that on the phone. I'll talk to you whenever. If it's
yeah,
tomorrow, okay,
I'll catch up with you. And of course, you know how I start every call in
there's
a
my.
lovely paternalistic way, right? It's I found 10 minutes for you.
Oh, thanks.
Right. I was able to squeeze you in here, pencil you in some. But what is in, it's important that it helps you if you seek out other relationships, family, friends, otherwise, that are also reinforcing that journey, whoever that may be in your life. If it means cutting your father out and talking to your cousin, if your cousin's on the journey, your father's on the nonsense, it is what it is,
That's what God
So
do with them.
because they're not, otherwise you're just enabling. You're
Right.
just enabling them because you're getting the benefit without the change. They just feel like you're going to keep cleaning it up, you're going to keep pressing it, you're going to do it anyway, whether they change or not, and you're not getting any closer, whether that's a relationship with your father, your son, your husband, whatever else, as long as they feel like, well, whether I do it or not, you know, you're going to still be here. Well, that's not going to work because we're not going to last. It's not going to, he's going to wear me out. We're going to end up resenting each other. It's just, it's a time bomb at that point.
Right. So, um, and I hope this helps people because, as we said, we are father and daughter. This is my biological father. I know y'all could probably notice that with my face. That's my face. But um, our relationship is so strong, um, and we just let God. Like it's nothing that was forced. It was nothing that that we put on the front or that we don't talk about serious issues. We have argued. We argue sporadically sometimes, but it's like, "Da, da, 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 da." Oh, hold up. In the middle of the argument, it's like, oh, well, no, I wasn't saying that. Or, it's like we get over it in that moment. Like, oh, okay, this is going to the left because, oh, I see where you're coming. It's like we're trying to figure it out in the moment. Like, we're not even going to get off the phone, with that, feeling like, oh, he didn't understand me or she didn't understand. It's like, oh, okay. And then we
Because
don't,
if you trust people's walk, you can keep their intentions pure, right?
right,
So much of the biggest problem is once you start communicating with somebody, you start to disagree, they start to assign negative intentions to you, negative motivations to you. And as soon as you do that, yeah, you got a right to protect yourself because they're just trying to do this to you, and they're just trying to do that to you, and they just want to see you in. And so you're all justified now in protecting yourself against the evil that they're trying to do. And we catch ourselves early on of, okay, I feel it. I'm feeling
right,
disrespected. I'm feeling something happened, but I know they didn't do that to me, right? We had a couple of examples like you talked about us. looking for cars, and you're like, well, I think I'm gonna do this. It's like, why did you put me through all this work? I'm not trying to. I don't care if you back. And it's like, and or you're making a video and you're planning for it to be out, and I took it upon myself to make a promo and publish it. And it's like, hey, I didn't plan for that to be, this, that, and other, but we were able to trust each other's motivations.
Right.
Hey, I didn't stay up last night and try to make a promo for your thing, hurt you. Obviously, I thought I was doing something, and you're like, I still live 8 hours away from you, and I don't know if a car can get to where, or you know what I mean. So it's not I'm disregarding the work you're doing. It's just you're doing that on that end, and I'm trying to do some here and see what comes together first. It's not anything against what you're trying to. I appreciate your help, right?
And it was like, we at that moment we was frustrated, but even in the frustration, it was like, we were like, I'm trying to help you, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to help you too. I appreciate your help, but it ain't helping my situation right now. I don't know if this car is gonna make it all the way 50 hours away. That's what I'm saying. I want to make it out there because I know that you're gonna get me in the right place and whatever. I'm not trying to pass on or just have you doing all this work. And it was like, well, I know that's not what you were thinking. And it's like, well, I know that you weren't trying to pressure me into going down there. It was just like, okay, and it was like we was calming down as
Yeah,
okay, because we knew each other's motives was not to hurt each other. It was like just a stressful situation at hand. You're trying to help because you don't like that I'm in this situation in this car, and then I don't like that I'm in this car. I'm frustrated with this car because I'm in the car. So it's like you getting some of that frustration of me being in this car, and you frustrated like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it home right now. So, um,
yeah.
but
Joel was saying the same was like trying to get you out of this car, right? It was like,
right,
you need to get out of this car. I know I need to get out of this car.
right. So it was nothing. But that's why we are able to talk about this because it's like it's not like we perfect and we're acting like, oh yeah, we just have the perfect relationship and everything is gravy and we never argue. We're just best of friends and la da da. It's like no, we have heated conversations. We are a lot alike. We think a lot alike, and it's hard sometimes to it's good all the time, but sometimes it's like difficult because it's like yeah, like I already know this. What are you telling? You can't tell me something. I'm you. Like, it's like you telling me something. Just know that I'm thinking like you. Already did that. But I understand your motives is like you're not trying to tell me what to do. It's like you're just trying to make sure that I thought about that.
Yeah.
Also, so
So
we
hopefully people enjoyed this fly on the wall experience. I mean, this is a lot of days for us. This is basically how we would have spent this hour and a half anyway. And we barely changed many of the words at all,
right,
outside of being aware that somebody else might see it.
right,
Essentially. But this is how it sounds most days, and a lot of times it's specific to what's going on in that moment for that, what's happening with the kids, or what you're expecting to do today or tomorrow or this weekend, or stuff like that. But for the most part, it is so much of this challenge of trying to, be led by the light, and making sure that we eliminate as much emptiness as possible.
right. So I hope this did help someone else. And it doesn't matter how long you are apart from a person or whatever. Don't focus on that. Like, oh, I don't want to be apart from this person for so long because I was apart from you most of I was able to see you, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But it's like our connection now is like I never missed a beat. Like, you feel God was able to allow you to feel that void right now.
yeah,
Like you are where you should be in my life right now. You are helping me right now. Like you said, I couldn't focus on, but you didn't. train me on the bicycle, or you didn't, I'm not that. I have my kids are getting too old to be, trained on the bicycle. Why would I be? It's like, but we've already discussed that's in the past. So now it's like we've just grown. We just talk. We just,
Let it
every
be.
day.
And most of your siblings came to that realization that one, nobody can live up to that boogeyman, and two, that the unknown, like whenever you're waiting on something, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? And a lot of that went into them meeting me, and it was just gonna be like, am I going to fight this dude? Am I going to do this, that, and the other? And then, like you said, when you saw me and your brothers coming through the door, just like after all of that build up, it's just like, oh hey, because that's really what they ultimately feel like. Oh, he's just a dad. It's not even a thing. He's my it's my dad, and it just it didn't feel all of these possibilities never manifested. It was just okay, and it just fell into where that person kind of belongs in your life, right? Like,
All right.
oh, did you see this show? Or do you like that song? And and that's just life. You got a couple of still out in the wilderness, you know, carrying this around, but and I told you I let that go.
Gotta let
I'm
it
done
go.
with the horses that you're dragging over to the water and all of this kind of stuff. These are grown people. If they don't want it, I don't want it for them because it's just a distraction in my life. You're another human being, and do your thing. Obviously, when it's your children, you hate to see them carrying unnecessary hurt, but it's obviously
Out of your
it's,
control.
it's out of my control. There's no amount of aggravation I can have, stress I can have about it that will bring the light on. So, uh, 6 of 9 and counting. So, you know, maybe one day before they throw the dirt on.
Yeah, and I mean, and I can only say as much as from my experience. Like it's not fun to carry on that emptiness. It feels
No, we
good
both did it.
to right, right. I don't. I once I let that out because when I came to you, it wasn't like, oh, Dad, this is just how I feel. It was like, Daddy, this is how I make you made me feel. I was letting out all that hurt. It was like I didn't, sugarcoat it or nothing. And you was like, wow, oh, what, and it wasn't like, no, I didn't do that. No, 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 no. Oh,
I was
well,
like, you better watch how you coming at me, partner. I'm from the streets. You better be ready now. No, I embrace it for what it was. And that's the only way you can deal with stuff like that. And that's why I said, so many of them stayed out there anticipating that it may be a back and forth, blaming you and then you're blaming me, or attacking this one, attack because that one's attacking me, as far as moms and all of this type of stuff. And you're like, I ain't got none of that for you.
mm,
It is what it is, and all we can do is what we can do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spend a bunch of time about, well, this one did that and that one did that, and and it wasn't nothing stopping you from doing this. You could have called me. You was grown.
right.
What's the point of that?
Yeah. And you did. And then it was like, when I realized that, it was like, wow, this person, was just doing the best that they could. And that's how I feel with both of y'all, both of my parents. Y'all just did the best that y'all could at the age that y'all were at. So, um, but with you, I was able to move forward with my emptiness because it was let out and we moved on. It was like I let all this out. You didn't deny or just dismiss any of my feelings or emotions. It was like, wow, and then you started telling me, I would have never done that because I was hurt by this and I thought this. And, I was like, oh, well, Daddy, I didn't even know nothing about you. That hurt me. That hurts a child when you never know, you hear just different things about the father, but you never know really the father. And then they're like, well, I would never put that on you because I was hurt from this and this
Right.
happened again. And I'm like, oh, daddy, and it wasn't like you was trying to make me feel bad or taking it off of you because you was still like, I'm sorry. I would have never wanted to. It was like, no, that wasn't my intention. I tried to do everything out,
All
opposite of
right.
what you're talking.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I hope people can see this as a possible example of whatever relationships they have, want to work on, or whatever else that can be done. All they have to do is be like me, and they'll be perfect. So,
Anyways, we are not perfect as you've seen. I mended my relationship. It's telling my age. I'm at 23, so it's been 10 years really now.
yeah,
Because I'm about to be 33.
yeah.
So, I hope this helps. I hope you learn,
I'll
um,
be 35 this year, so that's a lot.
you said what?
And I'll be 35 this year, so
Anyways, as we stated, I have some wonderful, youthful parents that just turned 50. But anyway, just months ago. But anyway, which I'm thankful because I have some youthful parents that was able to be youthful with my kids and everything and me. So grateful and thankful, and I hope this helped. And let's dig deep.
all right.